Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hit subscribe. I wanted to talk to you guys today about this analogy that I was thinking about. And I was thinking about having like a glass of water, right? And a glass of water is still if nothing's agitating it. But life is agitating it. It's like it's putting a heat underneath the water and causing bubbles to come up. And I think one thing I seek is stillness. Like it's something I really crave, but it's something I'm really uncomfortable with. And I was talking to my therapist a few hours ago, and we were talking about how my last week went, and I was talking about how I had some days where I was really focused on my body weight, and she was trying to get out of me like, why was that body weight coming up? Like, besides the fact that you're gaining weight and that's the reality, like, why do you think you were focusing on it in that moment? And I thought about it, and I think it's because I had gotten to a point where I could experience more stillness and just be me. And that's something that's so uncomfortable. And so if I then focus, that's like the water stilling, but if I turn my focus to the body weight and gaining weight and like wanting to track calories and spiraling down that puts so many more bubbles up in my cup. And that discomfort of all of the bubbles, I'm actually more comfortable in sometimes. And she was saying to kind of lessen that agitation that the weight gain thoughts can cause, label what's happening. And so I said, okay, so I label that eating disorder. And she said, no, labeling it eating disorder comes with so many more judgments and shame that will just make the situation more powerfully emotionally, more emotionally powerful. But to label it like I'm uncomfortable being still. And like even just saying that, it's like, it's such a deep truth of mine that like, and I've gotten better with it over the years. I've really tried to practice. I practice yoga and meditation and like all the spirituality stuff because part of me deeply wants to be okay with who I am as I am, just being. But the other part of me is so uncomfortable with that. And so her just saying that like felt really powerful and true. And so she said to label that, to recognize the trigger. So in this instance, it was the weight gain. Label it for what it is, uncomfortable with being still, and then deciding what to do. So if I decide I don't want to be still because it's too uncomfortable, and that's okay, that I could find a different kind of distraction or a different way to cause some bubbles that wouldn't be as harmful. So I've been playing Sudoku a lot, or like watching a movie with my family, or going for a walk, going out into nature, reading a book, just something to make it so I don't have to just be me and be still if that's going to be too uncomfortable in the moment. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to look at. And then another thing she's been talking to me a lot about is being in the middle. So like this is the middle, like this is kind of like my ideal place of where I want to be. And this is like the chaos of like the eating disorder or whatever triggers me and is pulling me away from my best self. And that it's not that I need to be my best self, because that's a lot of the eating disorder like thought belief system, that I could be perfect and I need to stop all of this and I need to be perfect. But it's just being in this space. So not necessarily being perfect, but not being neurotic and engaging in my eating disorder and other harmful habits that pull me away from this person who I want to be. And so she said to like label the middle. So for this teacher training I have coming up, that if you've watched my videos, I've talked a lot about, I'm really nervous about it and how it might trigger me into old behaviors. And I was thinking about like what it is to be in the middle, and it's like to just share my love of yoga and to like be honest and to not try to be someone I'm not. So when I get triggered and like I think people aren't liking me and I want to spin out with anxiety and then like want to go home and throw up for relief, to just notice like I'm uncomfortable in this moment because I think someone doesn't like the way I'm teaching. And to then come back to the middle of like, but all I need to do in this moment is share yoga and be honest and just be myself. That was really helpful for me. Or I'm going on a vacation for my dad's wedding with a lot of family, and a lot of my family are very focused on weight loss and fitness and eating really clean. And so it's the same thing. I'm worried that those things are going to trigger me, and to think of the middle of spending time with my family, being in nature, being present and kind, and making good memories. So when I get triggered by something, instead of spinning off into my own head where I could live all week and like engage in my eating disorders, which I'm not doing now. I'm not engaging in any behavior, but I do feel like the eating disorder is present when I'm spinning out into my weight thoughts. When I'm spinning out into weight thoughts or wanting to count calories, which I'm not, but having those compulsions in my head still feel so much like the eating disorder for me. Which my therapist also pointed out that I'm not physically engaging in my eating disorder, so to give myself credit and to realize that like you're not acting on your thoughts, which is a really big deal. So anyways, if I get triggered by any of that stuff, instead of living in my head and isolating and maybe turning to food, or I could imagine going to this vacation and just thinking really hateful thoughts about my weight all week and having that be like the memory of the trip. So instead, it's when I realize that's happening, I can label it like I'm uncomfortable with being with my family for so long, or like I'm uncomfortable with this conversation, or whatever it is, and then coming back to like what's my middle and what's really important, and like spending time with family, making good memories, and then putting my energy into trying to do these middle actions. So I hope that is helpful for you guys. Okay, I start that training tonight, so if you've been watching these, a lot of you have shown a lot of love and support for me, so thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great day.